Hello and welcome to another episode of Tales from a Professional Nerd. My name is Bryan Steele and I will be your nerd today and every other day that I do one of these shows and you watch them. I switched it up on you. So hello everybody. I know it's been 2 weeks since the last time we met, but that was because we had Gen Con last week. Which obviously you knew, you clicked on this video, that this is the Gen Con review. So we'll do the weekend Brian, but we're going to do it the super fast way because last time I talked to you was right before I went on a family vacation down in the Smokies, which we had a blast. We had a super good time. We threw axes, we hiked on mountains, we saw like natural waterfalls. My son saw a waterfall for the first time in real life. We did this really cool electronic, physically inclined circus game place called Activate, which was really cool. You got this RF tag that you wore on your wrist, and you basically go into these enclosed rooms that had these electronic games set up. Although they were like super high tech and electronic, they were still physically inclined. Like there'd be one that was the whole room was like the entire room was like pressure plates that would light up certain colors, and it'd be like, everybody had to be on a color at a certain amount of time, so it'd be like red in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and at 1, if everybody wasn't on a red square, you'd fail and lose a life. There was one that was like lasers. There was one that was shooting basketballs. It was just neat. It was really cool. It was extremely active. Like all of us were just dripping sweat after our hour. So that was a ton of fun. I think that's probably the thing that the kids enjoyed the most. What I enjoyed the most, aside from getting to see friends and family, was the hot tub. Um, I would. I don't know. This house really isn't equipped to have a decent hot tub. Just not like the right kind of space for it. But man, would I love one. I would love. I love being in the water, and hot bubbly water is the best. Um, then let's see. We got back from vacation, had a couple of days of smash work, and then right into Gen Con, which we'll do the Gen Con review anyway afterwards. Last night played a probably our penultimate session of Curse of Strahd. We fought the big guy again, and we got him to turn into mist. So I'm hoping that means like he's gonna flee to his coffin or flee to some chamber that we have to go have our final talk or something. Because I can't imagine we actually destroy him. I mean, like he's the linchpin, demi-lord or dreadlord of the demiplane. So I doubt that we actually get to destroy him, but I get the feeling that this upcoming session is going to be a little bit of a chase and then probably a lot of roleplay. So we did good. And then work wise, this video is actually probably gonna be pretty fast because I am on super crazy, oh my gosh, crunch time deadline for the Power Rangers book that I'm working on right now. I have not a lot to do, but I've got enough to do that I'm probably going to be in the studio for the next 2 days, pretty solid. So I do need to make sure that I get to work today and start slinging words. And then painting wise, one of my clients, one of my friends / clients, says that he's got some cool stuff for me to paint here pretty soon. But he hasn't actually like delivered any of that yet. And then I've got a bunch of my new stuff from Gen Con that I will be putting paint on soon. You can actually see I've got some new back here if you can zoom in. That's my Fallout Wasteland Warfare miniatures game. That's my Super Mutant Army. And that big hunk of resin right there in the middle, that is Swan, the unique Super Mutant behemoth. So I got him, some Nightkin, a couple of characters that I plan on getting some paint on because they are such great minis. And while I was at the Modifius booth, talking to my friend Greg, he talked a bunch of my friends and myself into the Skyrim miniatures game. So while we were sitting around talking, figuring out what kind of factions everybody wanted to play, I kind of fell in love with the monsters. So I think I'm going to just play bad guys, not like villains, but like trolls and spiders, and I assume I'll eventually get a giant when that happens. So yeah, I'm excited about that. They're very interesting models, very fun models, and I love painting, creatures and monsters and things. So that should be a good time. A good time should be had by all. Although I didn't even think about it, there's a very good possibility that that might be the faction that like dragons fall into. Awesome. Um, yeah, so I've got that. I got a bunch of new BattleTech stuff for my clan Ghost Bear force. Um, Picked up some new stuff for Heroes of the Grid. Got some of the role playing game books that I was missing because I figured I'd just pick them up the show rather than having them ship them to me and charge all that extra money. Um, yeah, no, it was got to see the first, even though it didn't have a cover on it. I got to see the print preview for the Transformers role playing game book. I mean, I've had the PDF for a long time for work purposes, but there is something to be said to see it in physical, to know that it is coming, to know that it is at the printer, being put together, being bound, and getting ready to get sent out to players is pretty rad. I'm very, very proud of that book. I know James, Eddie, and Gabe did the majority of the writing of the main chunk of stuff, but then Ryan and I went in and added and switched up a bunch of things. Um, and the threat section I am particularly proud of. I got to go in and make like 30 Decepticon threats. Um, and they're cool. I'm getting a lot of good feedback from the people who got the PDF preview, um, or the pre-order PDF. I'm getting a lot of really good feedback from them, and for anybody who plays the Power Rangers role-playing game, um, you you have a really good idea as to how I build my canonized threats. I do my best to stick to the formula as far as like the numbers and how much, how they go. But because we're building threats and not player characters, I don't have to stick to individual general perks and individual role perks and things like that. So I'm able to take things that happen in the media sources and just make stuff up for them to make them an interesting encounter for your players. And I did a lot of that for Transformers. I did a lot of that for the Decepticon book, obviously on the Autobot side of things. And then I did a lot for Across the Stars and now Jump Through Time. So I really do enjoy making canonized stat blocks, which is weird, which is super weird because normally creating NPCs and stuff is one of those grueling processes. But in Essence 20, especially for these licenses, I just really, really enjoy making the threats. Yeah, so that's what to look forward to the Transformers game. Um, we got new news this week. Speaking of Essence 20, I want to say it was ICV2, the website, the like gamer news website, put out the last quarter, so the last fiscal quarter of this year, um, they put out a sales record of role playing games, like the top five selling role playing games, and without, of course, there's no question the first two are D&D and Pathfinder, and the third one is basically another D&D book. But number 4 and number 5 are G.I. Joe Essence 20 and Power Rangers Essence 20, respectively. When that information came across and that article came out, that is such a huge, awesome thing. That two of the top 5 slots and the only top 5 slots that are not D&D or D&D derivative belong to the game that I helped design and write. Both versions that have been released so far. I can't tell you what that feels like. That's something super phenomenal. I like it. When that article popped out, I was like, nah, someone shared it with me, and I was like, that's unreal, and it's fantastic. And I think that Transformers is going to probably leave an even bigger footprint than the first two, because not only is that book even more polished than the other two, I think as a license it has a lot of eyes on it, because unlike G.I. Joe, because G.I. Joe, there's always been like, D&D Modern, D20 Modern, Spycraft. There's been all these other sort of paramilitary, exaggerated nonfiction armed forces role-playing games out there. And Power Rangers, there hasn't been that many like, super mecha Sentai style, but a lot of people have been able to do things like with superhero games and stuff like that. I can't think of, with maybe the exception of Rifts, a true shape-shifting giant robot game. And definitely not an official one. So I'm excited. It's gonna probably be a hell of a launch, and I know that I'm gonna try and make sure that we get copies sent into the Annies for next year and that kind of stuff. So very, very happy, very, very happy. And it's back to work as normal. So here I am recording videos for you. So Gen Con. First off, let's take a drink from the brand new Gen Con 2022 cup. I told you I was going to get one. It's super fantastic, and it's got really cool art on it. Like, I'm see if you can't. It's got some glare on it, but it's got this like very stylized female fighter of some kind standing on a cliff, and there's this like kind of swirly dragon image on the cloak. It's very, very cool. Let me take a sip. Yeah, it is very, very cool. I like that. And again, I'm gonna buy a drink while I'm there anyway, so I just keep the cup. Yeah, I don't get my $2 back or whatever. The whole plastic deposit thing. But it's a cheap souvenir. I don't buy T-shirts and stuff from Gen Con because my weight fluctuates so much, and they eventually will wear out. I do get the Gen Con die. I've got a D6 around here somewhere, but the cups are something that I can have all the time, and I can show them off to you guys when I'm doing videos. Yeah, so there's that. Before I get too deep in how Gen Con went, I want you to make note that over here by my plant, or at least you can see pieces of my plant, that my camera's not all washed out, that the blaze of sunlight that's normally over here is not here. And that is because I have to thank one of my Discord Rangers / subscribers to this channel, David Sims. I have to thank David because he reached out and was like, hey, I have an extra blackout curtain that might fit your window. And sure enough, he brought it to Gen Con and gave it to me. So the reason why you can see me in all my glory and you're not washed out on that side of the screen, you're not blinded by the infernal Daystar, is I was able to put up David's blackout curtain. It fit perfectly. So thank you, thank you, thank you, David. I always love gifties. Hint, my shipping address is in the description of the video. But gifties that are thoughtful and aren't just picking something off of my Amazon wish list, I gotta say, go the extra mile. So thank you, thank you, thank you. This is going to be a big help on multiple levels. So that was a little bit of Gen Con. I bought a bunch of stuff. I was given a bunch of stuff. Our friends at WizKids are, while I was trying really hard to get one of those unpainted Tarrasques to maybe paint on the channel, it did not come together, sadly. I made some really good friends at the WizKid booth, but either way, they are still working out something cool for us to unbox. One of their marketing managers says that will be on the way shortly. So here in a video soon, there will be some cool WizKid stuff for me to unbox and show you. And if it's some of the unpainted stuff, maybe I'll try and figure out how to put the camera rig together, and we'll do a painting day. Let's see, what else? Oh, yeah. So Warzone, while at Gen Con, we had some great meetings. Some awesome meetings. In fact, I spent a lot of my Gen Con with Alex and one or two of our new business partners on the Warzone venture, arranging for new relationships, talking about new products, talking about the new direction that we're taking certain aspects of the Kickstarter and the starter product. Very happy. Not going to make an announcement on it yet because a lot of it is still fluid, but super happy. We came to some very cool conclusions about where we want to go. Talked to, for those of you who've been with the Mutant Chronicles a long time, Matt Forbeck wrote a bunch of stuff in the beginning of the Mutant Chronicles, and Matt is actually a very good friend of mine. So we talked a little bit at Gen Con about some of his old work, and possibly looking at maybe refining or getting him on board to do some more cool stuff for Warzone Eternal. So again, there are, for those of you who have been like waiting with bated breath on Warzone stuff, Gen Con was real good for us. We actually got to meet with the license holders themselves, like physically face to face, the actual members that own the license that we are leasing from, and that meeting went really well. They're super nice guys. We got to talk about a lot of really cool stuff, obviously all businessy and behind the scenes kind of stuff, but it all turned out really well. We brought on, we had kind of brought on some new business partners in the project a while back, but we hadn't really discussed kind of everything that was going to happen. And now that they are a part of it, very cool. Very, very happy. There's going to be a lot of cool merch that's involved. And the assets that partner brings, those partners bring to the table, I think are going to do wonders for the final product. Speaking of final products, I have managed to pick up some new. There are some very cool art and very cool sculpts for Warzone Eternal that no one has seen yet. I'm sure when we get a little closer to the campaign jumping off again, we'll start leaking some of that stuff and get people excited, or maybe it'll just be a cool Kickstarter surprise. Regardless, there is a lot of forward momentum on Warzone, and getting to hang out with Alex physically and attend these meetings and stuff at Gen Con was, uh, I don't know. I can't say it was paramount to probably the primary reason that I was at Gen Con. So Warzone people, do not fear, do not fret. Um, a lot of really cool stuff happened last week for our game in progress. But yeah, that was a lot of my Gen Con was meetings. I met with a ton of people. Met with some licensors, met with some former employers. Got to reconnect with my first official game industry employer, Matt Wilson, over at Privateer. Had a nice conversation with him about the direction of the new War Machine, this Mark IV that they just announced. Um, I I got to see some people that I have only known from Zoom calls in person. One of which was the head of fiction over at Catalyst Game Labs, which I'm gonna be doing some more work for them on their Shadowrun fiction. But the John, I've only ever seen him in a digital form, so like this. I did not realize that he is a very tall individual. Um, and so I went into the Catalyst booth and was looking around. I saw that they had some of my novels on the shelf, and so that was pretty cool. Uh, but standing next to me was this giant of a man, and he basically, as I was trying to like move the books around and straighten the shelf, he looks at me and goes, and says something along the lines of, "Oh, do you need any help? Do you need any help, sir?" And I looked because he wasn't in his Catalyst like bowling shirt. I looked at him thinking, why is this rando talking to me? And then he looked at me, and we both looked at each other's badges, and there was this dawning realization that, oh yeah, I'm dealing with one of my employers, and he's like, oh yeah, I'm dealing with the guy who's written these books. So we had a good laugh about that, and that was super fun. And speaking of the Shadowrun novels, by the end of the show, I actually got a message from one of my new friends, um, uh, that they went over to Catalyst to go buy my books, and they were sold out. So I'm pretty happy about that. The fact that I know that Catalyst does not go light into packing their shelves. Like it isn't like, oh, they sold out, but they only brought two. They probably brought like 12 or 15, maybe 20 of a copy of these books, and they were completely gone by the end of the show. So hope that means we'll get some good reviews coming down the road, and some people being like, ooh, I love your stuff. While I was there, I did sign a short story and another. The novel is still, I still have to put together the pitch, but it's also, that's not anywhere anytime soon. The novel, I think he said we got to get it done by like late spring, so I got all kinds of time on that. But the short, I gotta get smashed out after this Power Rangers book. So, speaking of the Power Rangers book, I got to see. So I spent a lot of my time doing Renegade stuff, which is unsurprising, as that they are my primary my primary employer right now. I got to meet a lot of people from Renegade's staff that I've only known on the like business Slack or from Zoom calls and stuff like that. I got to actually see them firsthand, meet them in person, including people who helped me moderate and kind of functionalize the Discord servers, and some of the marketing people, and in fact, actually, I got to meet some of the Renegade Discord members. Um, Part of that was just because Renegade had a um, a dedicated room for demos and things like that. So there's this kind of like Renegade HQ to kind of go back and forth from, but also because there were two big events that I did while I was there, um, and well, you know what? How about this? Because I did want this video to be short and I don't want to ramble. I'm just going to go through my days and tell you kind of roughly how they went down. So I came in on Wednesday afternoon on Gen Con. I checked into my Airbnb. It's a cute little tiny place, and headed down, waited in line forever to get my vaccination, my I've been vaxxed bracelet, and then get my badge. But then that night, I hooked up with a couple of my friends from the area, and we had some drinks. We had it was nice to see everybody. It was good to just kind of relax before the madness. But we also played that heads up game where you have like a thing on your phone and you can pass or whatever. And while I learned that is a very, very fun game, I did learn that you have to kind of hold it a little further out from your face, or at least if you're me, because otherwise when you're excited and you get one right and you bop it down to change to the next thing, you'll hit yourself in the nose like every time. Because I smacked myself in the bridge of my nose multiple times with my friend's phone. Thursday morning, bright and early, woke up and went to the Gen Con TV streaming lounge and got to play some World of Chaldea, the role-playing part of an Actoroki Slam session, which was a lot of fun. I was actually playing a character, Armando, who is someone who I have played with in past Actorokis, but not as. So it was kind of cool that I got to step into the role of someone who I've seen play before, so I kind of knew what the character was about. And by the end of the session, I had permanently changed Armando in a way. So I'm hoping that lasts. I'm hoping that stays constant through future stories and stuff, because that'll be fun. It'll be to like see future stories where Armando is involved and go, look at that thing, I did that. So we did that. I got to play with Lexi the First, a streamer and cosplayer, and Jason Acevedo from Realmsmith TV. Amazing people, love them to death. Jason's a friend of mine now for a while. But I hadn't roleplayed with either of them, so that was kind of fun. We got to dive into this weird setting with underground spiders, and it was very, very cool. And our dungeon master in that game was Sarah Moore from World of Chaldea, and she did a really good job. Sarah was a lot of fun, kept us going, kept us active, kept us guessing. It was cool. It was a very, very neat thing. And when that video comes out, I will link to it here so you guys can go check it out. The final version of what we did, the end movie from our role playing session. From there from that point on Thursday, I went and played Blood Bowl. I did a Blood Bowl event where you pay a little extra, but you leave with a team. And I got one of the lucky draws, and I got a Norse team, a team that I've never played, nor have I ever owned or painted. And I had a good time. It did not take long to fall back into... It's been a really long time since I played Blood Bowl, like 6 or 7 years at least. And it took me a turn or two to kind of get back into the swing of how the game functions. But once I did, me and another guy, we busted through our game in those 2 hours, and we had a real good time. But I got to take those models home, and eventually I'll get them painted. But it reminded me that I have an entire Chaos Dwarf Blood Bowl team that needs to get out and painted and played. So it rekindled some love for the game. And then Thursday night, Thursday afternoon, I had one of the licensing meetings with Cabinet. It was more like a cocktail, like a cocktail party. I couldn't stay very long, but it was cool. Got to put some, shake some hands, put some names to faces, eat some canapes, and then I headed off to the the Renegade Games role-playing game meet and greet, which was fun. It was a lot of fun. It would have been way easier, or I think it would have been more pleasant if we didn't necessarily have to be all masked up and hot in that enclosed room. But I got to talk to several members of the Discord server. I got to talk to a bunch of new fans. There was one guy who came with Xeroxed copies of his homebrew Transformers game from a decade ago. He also has his rejection letter from Hasbro where they said, we're not doing this at this time. He was very excited and very hyped up, but unlike a lot of gamers that have their own idea in their head, he was super excited for our game. Not super excited to adapt his game to our rules or super excited to tell me about how his game worked. Was none of that. It was basically he was like, hey, look what I did a long time ago. I can't wait for what you guys did. It was awesome. It was a really cool meeting where I signed some books, and got to meet a couple of the people. Like I said, got to meet some people from the Discord servers. But it was good. It was neat to talk. Dropped a few. If you have ever paid attention to anything I ever do, I'm very big about like teasing future products and things without enraging the marketing people, or risking my NDA. So I did get to drop a couple of hints about some stuff coming down the way, clarify a few rules things. What was kind of cool is I was actually talking to someone else, and one of the Renegade staff runs up and goes, hey, there's a guy that's asking a question about Power Rangers power weapons, and I don't know how to answer it. Can you? So I ran over there, and it turned into this big long conversation about future books and things that they had just recently started playing, but now they're totally hooked, and they're can't wait for the next products. So that was overall was a very, very good night. Friday was mostly just meetings, a lot of meetings, but a lot of very, very good meetings. What was awesome is I forgot Thursday night. So after the role playing thing, I met up with my friend Jake, who I love to death, Jake. And at the end of our night, I went to we went to Jake's hotel room so he could go home, or not his hotel room, his hotel lobby, so he could go home and I could wait for my Lyft to take me to my Airbnb. And while I'm sitting there in the lobby, my dear friend from Pokemon USA, he's kind of a big deal, comes strolling through the lobby. I haven't seen Dave in like 5 years, and it was like, holy crap, how serendipitous is this? Jumped up, gave him a big hug. He made fun of me for having an Airbnb far away, and he was like, "What are you doing here?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm waiting for my Lyft." He's like, "Why are you lifting anywhere? Why don't you have a hotel nearby?" I'm like, "Because they're expensive." And so we were joking and whatnot. It turns out that he had other business for the rest of the show. He was flying out on Friday, and so he gave me he was like, hey, my hotel room's paid through the rest of the show. Do you just want to take my room when I leave? So I was able to, I didn't get any money back from the Airbnb, but it's cool. I was able to bring my stuff to a hotel that is within walking distance, and more importantly, it was a huge room, but it was within walking distance. I no longer had to lift everywhere, so it wasn't like $20 a day, $25 a day in lift prices. And while the Airbnb was awesome, and I always appreciate that service, the bed kind of sucked. The room was really tiny. The door had a big like gap. I always felt like someone could just like look in my room. But the bathroom's not attached, which means in the middle of the night you have to get up. You have to like, go out into the public hallway to go to the bathroom. I do love Airbnbs. They perform a very cool service, but every once in a while you get one that you're like, it's a great place, but it is not as convenient as a hotel room. So the fact that I was given one, I can't speak enough about how amazing my friends are sometimes. Friday had a bunch of business meetings, a whole bunch of just meetings in general. Friday night, met up with friends of ours and went over to his apartment building and sat up on top of his roof and just sipped cocktails, told stories. It was nice to catch up. It was nice to be reminded some of the reason why we do what we do. And I waxed philosophical recently on Twitter that Gen Con reminded me how important my friends are, how important to my mental health friends are, but also reminded me really the reason why I do this career, the reason why I'm in this industry. Not only is because I love games and being a gamer, but on a core level, it is because I want to leave every scene I'm in. I want to leave every moment I'm in just a little more joyous and a little happier than when I left it. And making games helps me do that from afar, but it also, hanging out and having rooftop cocktails with old friends really did remind me just how much camaraderie this industry has given me, how many friends I've made because of this industry, and how much I love them. So Friday night was a lot of that. It was very, very heartwarming evening. Saturday was more meetings. I got to sit in on a little bit of a card game with someone. I ended up buying it. I can't remember what it was, but I had a good time. And then Saturday night, we ended up meeting with, it was either Saturday night or, I think it was Saturday night. We ended up meeting with the Jason Aceveda and his cohorts from the Incubus, INK-U-bus, the Incubus team. Met some new, very cool people from that team. Basically, it's a D&D live stream that is happening on Realmsmith, that is tattoo artists playing fantasy tattoo artists in a D&D game, and they're on this bus and they're taking a tour, and it's very cool, and I'm looking forward to seeing the end product. But I already knew half of the staff just because they're friends of mine. But I got to meet the other half of the cast and made new friends. And I always love making new friends. So Kelly and Beth, if you listen to this, welcome to hopefully the positivity that I bring into this universe. And then we ended up spending a little time on a little party bus, which was fun. Waiting for the bus, so like hanging out in the bar waiting for the bus, and it was fun getting back from the bus. While we were on the bus, I don't think I've seen, and even the people who put it together were making jokes afterwards. It was a bus that did a lap around downtown Indianapolis with drinks on it, laser lights, and loud music. It was exactly what you think it was. An event. I'm glad I did it, but I can't say that I would ever go out of my way to do it again unless I had like a friend or something that was like, hey, please come do this. But it was done. I can check that off. I did a tour of duty on a party bus. Sunday was Saturday night. Post-party bus, before all the craziness, Saturday night was the Renegade Games online Discord community bash, which was the raffle for free products, which I found out that I was a prize. Basically, one of the things they were raffling off was a 20-minute private Q&A session with me. It'll be an online Q&A session. I just gotta wait to find out who got it, and they will be in touch, and we'll set up like a private Zoom call where they get to ask me all kinds of questions and about Renegade stuff. I assume about Renegade stuff. I mean, I guess they could ask me about life, the universe, and everything, but that seems like kind of a waste of that 20 minutes. But we raffled off a bunch of special prizes and unreleased games and signed products, and it was very, very cool. But how it worked was, over the first couple of days of the convention, is you were given a little cardboard passport from Renegade, and there were these 5 stamped spots, And if you went to a place to see Renegade stuff, someone there would stamp it. And at the community bash, for each stamp you had, you got a ticket for the raffle. So it was a way to try and drum up not only business but attention and get people kind of really thinking about Renegade stuff. Um, when people started to show up, Jordan, I don't think Jordan and Katie realized, and Sarah didn't. They realized just how many people were going to show up. Our line for this one room, like I think maximum capacity in this room is like 75 or 120 or something. Our line came out of the room, down the hall, turned, and actually split the escalators and went down the other hall, the perpendicular hall, about 30, 40 feet. We easily had 2,000 people come through that door. It was crazy. It was awesome. It was awe-inspiring. It was a little chaotic, and I think the next time that we do something like that, Jordan will know better on how to make it function a little easier. But no matter what, it was a blast. We had a great time. We got to again, talk shop with people, meet people, talk to the fans, discuss things, and then watch people get excited about getting cool products that, you know, like signed copies of things. And it's just I love seeing people happy. And more often, I would say, for the vast majority, nobody was being grumpy. Nobody was like, "Oh, this line is too long," you know, or "Why do I have to sit here if my raffle ticket gets called?" They were just happy to be part of this. They were happy to get cool free stuff. It was just good. It was a solid thing, and that's what we love to instill in the gaming community. So I think Jordan and Sarah did a really, really good job, and Katie too. And I hope that I helped with that. Sunday was the wrap of the show. Again, more meetings. I was supposed to play Munchkin Charity. I was supposed to play Munchkin for Charity with Matt Forbeck and a couple of our friends, but there was a scheduling error and it didn't happen. I still showed up and Matt was there, but it was late, and it was the thing. Anytime that you get gamers together, there's always the chance for chaos, and in this case, it definitely happened. I had mentioned that we'll do some, Matt and I will do something for charity, probably at Gamehole Con. We'll figure it out. It was a bummer, but not a bad thing. Then the rest of Sunday was basically seeing everybody, you know, talking to people about business stuff. You know, I picked up some games. And then Sunday night, got to hang out with my buddy Jake and the Steamforged guys, the Steamforged game guys. Had a really, really good conversation with one of my editors from Renegade. Got to see Elisa, my former boss at Renegade. She has recently downgraded herself to a freelance position, so now she's still working on the team, but she's no longer staff. She's basically kind of the same level as I am now, as far as, like, you know, production stuff goes. But I got to actually hang out with her for a little bit Sunday night, before her coach turned into a pumpkin and she had to go upstairs. But had a great time. And then Gen Con was over. I woke up Monday morning and got in a car and went home. It was great. You know, the overall review of Gen Con was a good show. It was a great show. I know a lot of the business people out there, a lot of them said that their booths were selling like hotcakes. They did great as far as financially goes, which I always love to hear. It felt very busy, but it didn't feel overpacked like in past years. I still felt like I could move around quite a bit. I hope they continue to keep the slightly larger aisles and the more spread out footprint. But who knows? We'll see how that goes next year. It was really, really nice to see friends who I haven't seen in a while, to reaffirm friendships, and to really just kind of remind myself one of the biggest reasons why I'm in this industry to begin with. while completely at the same time getting to do a lot, make a lot of headway and lay the groundwork for some very, very cool stuff in the future. So Gen Con was a great success. Um, I have managed to avoid the con crud and the COVID. Like a bunch of people have been starting to report that they came back from Gen Con with COVID. I'm fine. I've been testing. I tested every day out at the show except for Sunday because I ran out of my tests. Um, but I have been tested twice since then. I have been negative across the board, so I'm doing good. My lovely wife, however, is currently quarantined in the other side of the house because she tested positive 2 days ago. So I don't know if she picked it up at the show or if she picked it up someplace else, but she did pick up the crud. Um, Either way, I'm doing great. Back from Gen Con, full steam ahead on Power Rangers to Jump Through Time, and then I'm into the next project shortly thereafter. So you know how this goes. I'm a busy guy. I love having so many fingers, in different pies through the industry. I have always loved my position as a freelancer. Um, that being said, I would take a staff position from a great company like Renegade in a heartbeat. But overall, Gen Con was really fantastic, both personally, professionally, and frankly, emotionally. Little hiccup here and there, but I'm not focusing on the negative. I actually promised a friend of mine that I would stop, um, focusing on that kind of stuff. And now it's pedal to the metal, full speed ahead. Let's do this. My next show is Gamehole, which is I think at the end of September. Um, until then, it is going to be making videos, making games, pressing forward, and hopefully making people happy. Um, all I can say is Gen Con was a success. So here is to that success. My grapefruit juice, yum. Um, so yeah, so please, 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 just like I managed to get out of Gen Con without catching the COVID crud, please be safe. Definitely get your vaccinations and your boosters because all these people that are reporting COVID, they're saying that it's some of them are getting hit pretty hard, but a lot of people are saying I got through it pretty quick because I'm fully vaxxed and boosted. So wear a mask, be safe, get your shots. But aside from all that stuff, go out there, make sure you smile, put a smile on someone else's face, play some games. We'll see you in a week, hopefully with some pretty cool news.